Alright, this is partly an answer to Hard Case owns you video on intelligent design, but it's intended for anyone who's interested in the subject. It's a good opportunity to clarify some things and talk about new perspectives. So, well, first things first, I think, well, the first step towards any honest investigation first is calm and emotional stability, in a sense. And the second thing also is being well informed. I think you will all agree on that. So that's what I will stay calm, and I am informed. So I did my homework for that. Now, just quickly, Hard Case talks about competing in the world economy, and I don't know why he's afraid of the Chinese, but I would challenge him with the following statement: question is that, well, do you think the world is more afraid of the Chinese right now or the American government? I'll let him answer that question. And now, in any case, I don't think, he's intentionally lying. I don't think people really, some do, but I don't think he's lying intentionally. I just think he's badly informed and has just a poor epistemological standard. So I'm gonna try to help him and help others try to understand better where the theory of evolution is still a theory and nothing more. Alright, so I'm not religious. I was just curious. I heard about the theory of evolution, and I wanted to look for information on it, and was curious on trying to understand what it was and why people were talking about it and where it came from, and what's the logic behind it. So I looked, and the first thing is really clear is that theory of evolution is mainly two things. Natural selection on one side and speciation on the other. So natural selection, I think everyone understands it generally. It just says that you have inside a species, the individuals who are better adapted will survive, and because they will survive, they will carry on their genes, and through several generations you're going to have certain traits that are going to be more emphasized, and other traits which are just going to vanish away from the species. So this could explain maybe, I think, the shape of any animal or whatever. Through the generations you had a morphological change, and the cause was the environmental pressures. Okay, this is, I think, fairly understandable. The problem I have, and what I found, is the explanation for speciation. Speciation, basically evolutionists just plainly say that you have a species, and you have inside an environment, and you have environmental pressures, you have natural selection, but through time you get new species. So that's what they're saying. They're saying that you start with one generation of species A, for instance, in an environment, and then through time and through environmental pressures you're gonna get a new species B. That's what they say. I said, alright, why not, why not? But then I asked myself the following question, is that Where does this theory come from? Who said so, and is it true, or is it just an assumption or a theory? So I looked into it, and I stumbled upon this experiment that some scientists made, so-called scientists, let's say, and it's the Drosophila experiment. I think a lot of people are familiar with it, but I'm just gonna state it again so that everyone understands it. So it's a species of flies, basically, and they take one big group of Drosophila and they separate it in two different groups, and they feed a different type of food to the two groups, and so they don't have any contact. They just eat different food, and then they live in different environment for several generations. And then what they observed was that you had some changes in, I think, in the shape of the wings or in the color of the flies and whatever, and so you have a change. And after that, what they did was they took the two groups and then they put them back together in the same environment, and then they observed whether the first group would mate with the second group. But what they realized was that they wouldn't mate. The first group wouldn't mate with the second. They would just mate between themselves, and the second group would only mate between themselves too. So this is where the epistemological problem comes in. Is that this is the observation, this is the experiment, this is what they did. Now, based on that, this very simple experiment that I mentioned, these scientists concluded that the first group and the second group were two different species. They were not the same species. That's what the conclusion was. But now I said, okay, wait, is that consistent? Is this a consistent argument? Is this logical? Is this reasonable? But then and it's like they basically, what they're saying is that, okay, the two groups didn't mate with one another, therefore they cannot mate with one another, and because they cannot mate with one another, then they must be from two different species. And I say, wait a second. Let's imagine an example. From the start of this video, I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I didn't do this. I didn't scream. I didn't yell. But does this mean that I cannot yell? I cannot scream? If you don't do something, does it necessarily imply that you cannot do that thing in particular? I didn't take out my glasses, but does it mean that I cannot take them out? The two groups of flies didn't mate with one another. Does this mean that they cannot mate with one another? So this is the problem they have. One of the biggest experiments, one of the biggest proof for speciation, the creation of new species, is totally absurd and unrigorous. No matter what your religious affiliation or reason, whatever, it's not consistent. Maybe theory of evolution is true, maybe speciation is true, maybe. But this experiment that they use as a backup to prove what they're saying is totally irrelevant. It's based on an assumption that's totally wrong. If you don't do something, then you can do something. And you can find another experiment very similar to that one with shrimps that are living on both sides of the Atlantic and the Pacific, are separated by the isthmus in America. You can check it out. It's the exact same experiment, the exact same conclusions that they reach. The same one. You don't do something, you can't do it. Alright, of course, I mean, I'll leave it up to you, but for me, this is pure nonsense.